Highway 231, Panama City. And online at bestwayportablebuildings.com.
Hi folks, it's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, she has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, where the locals go for the best boiled seafood around. Crawfish, shrimp, red royals, and everything crabs. Watch almost every sporting event in the country on their huge outdoor jumbotron. Follow them on Facebook to stay up to date on weekly events, live music, and food and beer specials. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, your home away from home for sports, good times, and great food. The best boiled seafood. Lone Star Boil House and Sports Bar, 320 West 5th Street, downtown Panama City.
Cold, creamy, and gourmet. Milkshake Factory is now open at Breakfast Point Marketplace near Publix next to First Watch. Unbelievably delicious handcrafted milkshakes and chocolates like the famous chocolate bark. Try the mouth-watering chocolate dipped strawberry shake. Family-friendly fun and unforgettable shakes await. Milkshake Factory now open at Breakfast Point Marketplace near Publix next to First Watch on Back Beach. Milkshake Factory.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Scorpion TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200 plus entertainment and news networks, or watch thousands of movies on demand, all for just $45 a month when you use the ESPN NW promo code at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Scorpion TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Scorpion TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Scorpion TV logo. Don't forget our promo code ESPN NW.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, we're taking the inside drive with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good morning. This is the Inside Drive on this Monday morning. I'm Paul Wilson. I'll be hosting, stepping in for Ryan this weekend or after the weekend. And just wanted to, again, bring up the voting is on the Best of Bay. He was nominated for the second year in a row and hoping to win back-to-back championships. So if you could go on there and start voting for Ryan Mulvey on the Inside Drive. Don't forget, this is your spot for Atlanta Braves baseball on the Gulf Coast. Tonight, the Braves start at 6 p.m. The coverage starts at 6. The first pitch is at 6:40. They will be battling the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll be talking a lot about that here in the next few minutes. And because my buddy, my friend, my pal, my Braves friend is in studio with us today, David Hayes. Good to see you this morning, David.
What's going on, Paul? Great to see you as well, and not so excited about the Braves playing tonight. I don't know, something about 2 sweeps in a row just kind of doesn't do it for me, but somehow, some way, I'll find them on the TV, and hopefully Chris Sale can pitch a gem tonight, and the Braves can bounce back, but we've been terrible on the road, so expectations a little bit low here. We'll see how it plays out against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, maybe it's time to start bringing back the rally caps or doing something. Maybe let's take a a token from the movie Major League and maybe somehow, some way get in that locker room and get some excitement going on, because right now is not looking good for the Bravos. So
yeah, who do we need in the locker room to clean that up from Major League though? Which players is it going to be? Is it who is the big fella?
Pedro Serrano.
Yeah, Pedro, there you go. Are we going to need his shrine in the clubhouse?
Maybe get the shrine.
Something going
Willie
on.
Mays Hayes. Maybe
Willie
we
Mays
can
Hayes.
lead him off and let Acuna bat second, maybe steal a couple bases and get some, RBIs, maybe steal home or something like that.
And Wild Thing can come in for Raciel Iglesias right now, because we need a closer. Maybe someone with an intimidation factor could come in and help the Braves change their ways.
Yeah, give them the heater, Vaughn.
Yeah.
We need somebody to come in. But while we're talking about it, let's go ahead and dive into it. Over the weekend, we had a lot of baseball, a lot of good things, a lot of not so good things for several of the teams. We're going to go ahead and go with the Rays battling the Marlins. The Rays win 3-2 on a Yandy Diaz home run, leading the way. He's got 9 on the year. The Rays 35-30. The Marlins a dismal 24-37. From there, we move on to the San Diego Padres taking on the Brewers, who the Braves is going to be playing this week. San Diego 1-0 on a Manny solo shot in the top of the 7th. He hit number 10 on the year. Pitcher's duel right there. And so we're going to move on to the Rangers. They battled out with the Nationals. The Rangers won that one 4-2. I was looking for Wyatt Langford in that one. Didn't see him. He took the day off, I guess, but still was able to pull out the win. That was the team right there that I felt like early on was going to start getting back to the World Series type mentality of play,
Right.
but they've just kind of struggled this year. They're under 500 right now, and obviously the Nationals, they are as well, with a 30-35 record.
And they struggle on the road as well, which kind of seems to be something consistent this year outside of like the Mets and the Cubs. A lot of teams not playing that great at on the road. And the A's, looking here at their record, 12-23 at the house. Not a very great home field advantage up there in Sacramento, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know where they're playing or what their name is except for the A's.
Yeah,
so
there you
with
go.
that one. The Pirates took on the Phillies. Pirates 2-1.
Yeah.
26-40. And the Phillies obviously 37-28. But that is a sweep.
Yeah.
For the Pirates.
Huge series for them, and I believe one of those with a walk-off bunt as well. So, great stuff there. And then Paul Skeens pitched his tail out yesterday, 7 2/3 innings. Could have gotten the 8th inning out of the way, but Braxton Ashcraft came in. I was actually watching the end of this game, and man, it's something special. Watch every time that you have an opportunity. Watch Paul Skeens, because the kid is just good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's something I wanted to talk about. You said 7 2/3 inning. He allowed 2 hits. He gave up 1 run, no earned runs. He had 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. For the season, his ERA is 1.88.
Insane.
That's just unbelievable. And he has a losing record.
Yeah.
So, which obviously the run support, I know O'Neal Cruz is really smashing the ball this year.
He's getting there, yeah.
He's getting there to be. And that, on a side note from that, last year we went and watched the Braves play, and they were playing the Pirates.
Yeah.
O'Neal Cruz is a monster.
He is.
Just so you know. I mean, the dude is legit. I mean, he's huge.
The thing with O'Neal Cruz is that he can't stay healthy, so he's not able to showcase how much of a freak athlete he is.
Yeah, he is. And I think that might be a little bit with them moving him to the outfield, which helps for that. But also just wanted to go through Skeens, because he's just unconscionable right now. In his career, he's got 37 starts. He's pitched 224 innings. He's given up 150 hits, 48 earned runs, 262 strikeouts. And his ERA for his career is 1.93. You know, one of the things that we've talked about with him is that how hard he throws the baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but when we had Ethan Hess on here from Hess Performance, We were talking about arm care, and we were talking about, a lot of people have been bringing that up, is how long is Skeens going to be able to keep throwing this hard and keep throwing at the angle that he does. And everybody has seen now, if you're a baseball fan, you've seen the warm-up routine that he does, and just, the things that that's doing for his arm, for arm care. And, Ethan, he's in the ballpark of saying that, with a guy his size, I think he's 6'7", 250 pounds, something like that, give or take a few pounds. But just being that big and that strong, Ethan thinks that he's probably not going to have, those problems. And, I mean, if he keeps doing this and just keeps getting better and better, and if he ever does get with a team that can give him run support, I mean, we're looking at, I know it's 2 years into his career, but good night. The guy is Super Bowl, Super League impressive, just watching him throw the baseball.
He really is. I mean, and that's the thing is, if he goes to a squad where he does have run support, he's going to be extremely dangerous. He's already dangerous. How often? I mean, you just mentioned the stats, and we're talking about the beginning of his career, which, all right, first start, against every team. Maybe you give him a little leeway because he's young and no one has tape on him. Now everyone has tape on him. Now the injuries could be more of a issue, and nothing has been a factor yet. And hopefully it continues to stay that way, because he doesn't have the bat like Shohei Ohtani does. Yeah. To kind of just, all right, well, we'll see how this plays out. But he's been a breath of fresh air for a sport that's in a really good spot with pitching as well. But to see how dominant, to see how long he can go into starts, very reminiscent of the past pitchers, but with a greater velocity, it feels. It's great for the game of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of kids are following him. Yeah. A lot of kids. And
when you got someone like Livy Dunn on your side, it's kind of easy for that.
It's a little easy, yeah. And that's the thing, too, with him being out on the social media. He's not a very boisterous type style personality, it doesn't seem like. Mm-hmm. But, man, just the way he plays the game as well. You want your kids to follow those type of guys that put in the work. And, now with the social media, you can see what kind of work and pregame stuff that he does, which is pretty phenomenal. Well, we'll be moving on now. The Cubs played the Tigers this weekend, and it looks like on Sunday the Tigers pulled it out 4-0. Riley Green, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. Jack Flaherty gave up 2 runs and struck out 9. I was looking at something about the Tigers, and earlier today it was one of those things that Detroit used to be. Back in the days when I was a kid, you had Sweet Lou Whitaker playing second base. You had Alan Trammell. Kirk Gibson was on that team. Lance Parrish behind the plate. They had a good squad. I mean, they played good baseball there. And Detroit fans, even in the, with the Lions, their fan base is one of the best across the country. But I saw this, and I wanted to bring this up for the Tigers. What a weekend at Comerica Park. The Major League best Tigers sold out all 3 games versus the Cubs this weekend for a total crowd of 121,509. And the Post goes on to say, Tiger baseball is very, very back in Detroit. So, I mean, when you have your team playing well, your fans are excited, your football team's doing well, because I think they coexist. I think I think the fan bases kind of intermingle, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And people start beating their chest about our city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then when you get the Pistons, I mean, when you have the Red Wings and the Pistons involved in that as well, I mean, Detroit's as good of a sports town as any other sports town in the USA.
Yeah, and I think, with the Tigers playing as well as they are, and obviously the Lions is playing as good as they are, it's something definitely to see. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to bring that up. As we move on, Cleveland played the Astros, beat them 4-2. Bo Naylor went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a home run. The Astros doing pretty good, though, still 36-29. Cleveland still kind of hanging around that 500. They're 34-30. But Cleveland, when you they just seem like they find a way to win. And there's another fan base. The Guardian fan base is great. They do come out and they show support, even in the good times and the bad. So
yeah, any fan base that's got to go through a name change like that and doesn't like it, just like the Commanders, right?
Right.
Not the fans.
They
still
don't love it.
Yeah, and they're sticking through all of that, though. Hey, that's a good sign for the fan base, and they're a team that they just linger, man. We could be talking about in the division, we could be talking about on the field, but they will find a way to win ball games and then also find themselves in a position to make a playoff run. So we'll see about them. They got one of the best players in the game in Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, and I think he is a phenomenal player because he hits with power and contact. The Reds beat the Diamondbacks 4-2. The Reds are hanging out at 500. They're 33-33. The D-backs, they're right there as well, 31-34, so they're pulling through. The Twins battled the Blue Jays on Sunday, 6-3. The Twins come out on top with that one. Christian Velasquez had 2 RBIs and a home run. There is another catcher making a difference with behind the plate. I want to bring that up because we got some exciting news for what happened over the weekend with another catcher that we're very familiar with. The Royals beat the White Sox 7-2. Bobby Witt Jr., 2 for 5, 2 RBIs, and a home run, number 8, and then on the season. And then finally, Jack Caglione went 4 for 4 yesterday, smashing the baseball. I know one time, one of the shots, everybody thought it was gone. It was a gapper to right center field. I think it one-hopped the fence, and everybody in the stadium was on their feet. It looks like early on that he was struggling a little bit. It took him a little while to kind of get used to it, but going 4 for 4 yesterday, just a massive, massive help for those Kansas City Royals over there because they're 34-32, so they're right there on that 500 level too. But I believe if he starts to figure it out, they're going to be one of the most scary teams over in that American League, and just to watch. I know that last night it was kind of cool. They were doing a little interview before the Sunday night baseball games between the Yankees and the Red Sox, and they asked. They had a little interview before with Aaron Judge, and he was talking about, what he's doing and things that he's, going through right now. And he specifically mentioned Bobby Witt and just how he approaches the game and how that he inspires Judge to be a better fielder just because he comes and brings it out there at shortstop. So that's something, to be a younger player, inspiring probably the best or one of top 2 best players in the game at this point. Bobby Witt Jr. just getting it done over there with Kansas City. Moving on, Dodgers beat the Cardinals 7-3. Mookie blasted one last night, number 9. Kershaw made his.
Did he pitch yesterday?
Yeah, he pitched yesterday. So he went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits with 7 Ks. Getting back to the Kershaw we know. So he had a good time over there yesterday. With him, it's just kind of like, some games you'll get, lights out Cy Young guy, and then some games, and I guess that's for everybody, but sometimes he just, doesn't seem like his stuff's working as well. But he looked pretty good yesterday. I mean, he gave up a few hits, but I mean, with that lineup, you can afford to give up a few hits here and there and still come out with the win.
Yeah, and that's another guy pushing on 40, not quite 40, 37 years old, but feels like he's above that 40-year-old threshold for how long he's been pitching in the game. But the Dodgers, if I'm the Dodgers, I use Clayton Kershaw sparingly, but, keep on using him, and then maybe that he'll be healthier for October.
Yeah, I mean,
it's unlikely, but you never know.
I mean, you'd hope that that's what they would do, especially if you're a Dodger fan, as fans, we make better decisions than the GMs anyway, that. But, when you look at it, if he does stay healthy all the way through, and then you got maybe a possibility of Ohtani coming in and maybe even getting some bullpen or even starting a game or two, they could be really seriously looking at a back-to-back this year, which a lot of people are picking them to do anyway. But still, with those two coming back, being able to pitch and help out any way they can. That would be pretty cool. We're going to move on to the Mets. They beat the Rockies, as you spoke about earlier, 13-5, pulling off the sweep. Another older player, Pete Alonso, 3 for 6 yesterday, 4 RBIs, 2 home runs. I mean, he is embarking on one of his best seasons yet, and he is definitely father timing out there with the age.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. He's 30 years old.
I mean, it just seems like he's been there.
I'm 34. What are we doing with this father time stuff? Maybe like nephew something, nephew minutes or something. My goodness gracious.
Okay, well, I'll take the era on that one. I was thinking he was more in the 34, 35 range, and, so if he's just 30, maybe he might need to start maybe getting one of his sponsors to be Rogaine, because he definitely,
or depends.
He's definitely losing a few hairs on the top of his head there. So
no, 100%. When you said that, I was like, oh, he might be like 35, but then I was like, wait, no, he hasn't been playing that long, but he does look older. So I don't fault you at all for that. My fault was whenever you stood by 30 being close to father time. Like, come on now, brother. Come on, brother.
No, we'll pull it back. I'll take a mulligan on that one, and take that back. But he does. It just seems like he's been there forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, he is embarking on the career home runs for the Mets as a franchise.
And it's something that we don't see a lot in this day and age, right? Is someone sticking with a team that brought them up and everything, and how huge of it was for the new big money guy in the New York Mets market, Juan Soto, to say, let's go after and retain Pete Alonso and keep him here with the Mets. And he's having a great season to this point. And what stands out to me isn't the home runs or the RBIs, but the average of Pete Alonso being above 300, even if it's 301. That's still pretty daggum impressive. I hate to see it, though. Come on, Mets. Find a way to met it up.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to move on. The A's beat the Orioles 5-1. My guy, Jacob Wilson, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Real quick, Charlie Morton.
Yes, cool story.
Still going with him, thinking about him playing against Jacob Wilson and playing with Jackson Holliday. Mm-hmm. What's kind of cool about that is Johnny Morton played against both of their dads.
Played when he played with the Pirates, he played with Jack Wilson.
There you go.
In that lineup, played against Matt Holliday.
Yes.
And then yesterday he was playing.
Swap up.
Yeah, he was playing with Jackson Holliday, pitching against young Wilson there, which is a fun guy to watch play the game of baseball.
Oh, yeah, that guy, again, I say it, I'm going to have to, I keep saying no relation. Yeah. I think I might say related.
Yeah, there you go.
Distantly related, Jacob Wilson, one of my favorite players right now, just because of the way he plays. Moving on to the Mariners playing the Angels. Mariners won that one 3-2. Don't forget, on Saturday, though, our guy, the Big Dumper.
Yep.
He hit 2. Now he leads the major league in home runs with number 26.
26.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
So he was the first to 25, first to 26, and we're talking about a catcher. I mean, this hasn't been done since Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench. Yeah, we're talking Johnny Bench numbers now.
Wow.
The nightcap was the Red Sox defeating the Yankees 11-7. So the thing about last night was that the Red Sox 5 home runs in that game, which was crazy.
Oh, you hate to see that. That's sometimes I forget that you're a Yankees fan just for a brief moment. So that wasn't a great Sunday night baseball game for you last night, but still interesting game, right? With the score and everything.
Well, you thought early it was going to be, okay, Yankees, here we go with Judge hitting a home run. I mean, he started off in the second inning or the first inning hitting a home run, and he ended up with 2, so he's got 23 on the year. So you're thinking, okay, well, maybe, but man, the Red Sox just started ripping the ball.
Does that rivalry, because of where the Yankees are right now and where the Red Sox are, which isn't, the separation between them isn't that great, but does that rivalry still hit the same to you as what it did, in its heyday?
No.
Well, our heyday, I guess.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't, not as much, because the players used to make it that way as well. I think we've moved on to where social media and all the guidelines and things like that, they kind of keep it, I just remember Pedro throwing at Jeter.
Right.
That kind of stuff, Euclid being, touching the batters as soon as they, try to take one step towards the pitcher's mound. And I miss that part about baseball. It's, you always want that rivalry. You always want that. But no, I don't think it's like it was. They had a little story that the starting pitcher had said yesterday that, that he would he would never play for the Yankees, even if that was the last team to give him a contract. They asked Judge about it in the interview, and Judge said nothing. He said, nope, I'm not going to fall in that trap. I'm good with wherever he wants to play. I love the Yankees. I love being here. Type deal. So,
and that's a perfect response by Judge, but he could have, heated that thing up, put it in the microwave a little bit, and started some good stuff. But on the flip side of that is, who's the guy who said that? You say that whenever you build yourself a little bit of clout. I mean, maybe in his mind he was saying it more humorous because, I'm not King Griffey Jr., but at the same time, I will say that I do appreciate his hatred of the Yankees. So baseball needs it. Every sport needs someone to look at because of their greatness and be like, I dislike that team.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And to finish off the rest of the Major League Baseball, the Braves go down to the Giants 4-3 and in the sweep. Something's got to change. Something's got to happen. We got to do something. It's not working.
We could just say the Serenity's Prayer or whatever, just, Lord, give me the courage to change the things we cannot change.
I mean, there's nothing we can do. I mean, we can send emails, we can make phone calls, but at the end of the day, write a letter, do something. But it's just not working out too well for the Bravos. I don't know if I don't want to blow them up. I don't want to blow the team up. But something has to be done because they could catch fire just because the Phillies, they're in a drought right now as well. And I think the Mets are just up 4.5 over the Phillies right now. So
and I believe like 10 or maybe 11 on the Braves right now.
Yeah,
but still, there's some,
It's in striking distance. As a Braves fan as well, wanting that to happen, I might be unrealistic, but I'm feeling like there's an opportunity to make a turnaround, to do something, and, hopefully tonight they can stop this 3-game slide that they've gotten here.
We're 14 games away from the Mets right now.
Oh, is it 14?
We're 2.5 games back behind the Nationals. But, here's the thing. As a fan, until it's mathematically impossible.
Right.
You
still want to believe.
Best. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you still want to believe.
I see nothing wrong with that. You can accept two inevitabilities at the same time. That we stink right now, but also there's a chance. And what movie is it? So you're telling me there's a chance. I don't know what movie it is.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. That's right.
That's exactly it.
And you know what? I'll be Dumb and Dumber and dumbest. You're telling me there's a chance. I'll ride on. Will I be happy the whole entire way? Absolutely not. But I will keep on supporting you.
Yeah, and that's something that's going to have to be for your Brave fans. Definitely keep supporting them because they need the help. Well, when we come back, we will be discussing a lot of baseball stuff that happened over the weekend that's going to really grab your interest. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Is that what happened to you?
It scared us to death. They're sneaky, they're fast, you can't get away from them. They're incredible. Anyway, what's that? Do that sound one more time.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Monday. A variety of some sun and possible thunderstorms this afternoon and evening with a wind out of the southwest at 15 miles per hour and a high of 87. Tonight, look for a variety of some clouds and likely thunderstorms with a temperature near 77. Tomorrow, a high around 86 and moderate rain and likely thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Golf Plus studios. Join the best of a winning Inside Drive with all your lines, props, and covers.
Winning
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive in Golf Plus Studios here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget you can call or text the 850-215-6290. And just want to say thank you for all of you that are listening, whatever you're listening on, whether it be Facebook, whether it be on the radio, or any other platforms that we are on. We appreciate you listening in and tuning in to us here on the Inside Drive. We also don't want to forget not to discuss that Ryan Mulvey, he will be back next week, I believe. And if he does, that would be awesome. And we're just so thankful that he trusted us with his show today. And just always want to give Ryan a good old God bless you and hope things are going good for you today, my friend, if you're listening. All right, David, this is going to be one of those segments that we're going to be talking about that is a real big segment to me. A lot of the things that I get an opportunity to do is go out and watch a lot of travel baseball. And being a huge baseball fan, I get to really talk about or get to see and witness a lot of the things going on with the young kids playing baseball and doing a lot of the things that they do out there. And one of the things that I've been noticing a lot of, which has always been the case, is that a lot of the younger kids, they emulate, they mock, so to speak, some of the professionals. They mock some of the college kids. They mock some of the high school kids. You know, when they see a base hit, you know, you see Ohtani, they're giving a dance. You see some of the other kids that are playing college baseball, they're giving a dance. And which is cool. It's fun. It's exciting. It's pumping their team up. My question for the day, if there is a question for the day, would be, is it too much? Because I'm telling you, this year's college baseball has just been riddled with the old school chippiness that I haven't seen in a lot of years. There's a lot of chippiness going on. There's a lot of spouting off to each other. There's a lot of fan interaction. There's a lot of the players, when they're on the field, they're interacting with each other. And then a strikeout, I've seen some of the kids, even in the travel ball arena, do the, I guess it's the old, where they, what do you call it? Where they, in football, when a cornerback locks down someone, he puts his sword back in his sheath when he strikes them out or something like that.
I mean, that was a celly.
Yeah. So he does that. It's a good celebration. I've seen that from pitchers as young as 9 and 10 and 11 years old. I've seen some of the home runs that are, when they're hitting it, takes them 15 to 25 seconds to get around the bases.
Doing different sports moves.
I mean, Acuna, when he gets into second, going into third, he does a little step back 3 there.
And something around
that third.
A little celebration with each coach at first and third, and then you take off all of your jewelry and then put it back on after you cross home plate and all of that stuff. I mean, I am right there with you where I love the amplification of the passion and the competitive spirit. I think there's right times and wrong times to be celebrating. It's just like football. It turned everyone off when you started having the sack celebrations, right,
Yeah.
with the gangrene defense and all of that. And then T.O., I believe, was the first one. T.O. or Michael Irvin was the first one to start celebrating first downs. And now it's like, almost caught a deflected pass. Let me celebrate because I almost caught that. Like there's just too much celebration, but it's a great thing because I love the fact, get away with me with all your, PC and being politically correct, all of that stuff. I like when you do things to get under the other team's skin.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. It amps up the game. It hypes the game up some. But also at the same time, you don't got to celebrate every little thing. Like, there's that level of professionalism and then annoyingness. Be somewhere right in between and don't cross both lines. But that's a tough ask, right? Because the other thing is we're all individual human beings, and our perspective, how we look at this, is shaped by how our life is. So we expect all of these individuals to be how we expect people to be. But the thing is you're taking 25, 30 kids, putting them on the same team, and like whatever level that we're talking about, because even the grown men playing baseball are playing a kid's sport, and I don't mean that disrespectful at all. I mean that in the greatest way possible, but you're playing a kid's sport, and so you're going to have egos and attitudes and just a mesh of different type of personalities, and it's just not always going to be peachy and rainbows and all that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you how do you do that? How do you channel that, because you put all this effort into, off-season workouts. You're doing the lessons, you're doing the practices, you're out in the heat, you're working. And then when you finally get something that you're excited about, you especially as like a kid, they're like, looking at their mom and dad. I mean, look at the world of travel baseball, middle school baseball, high school baseball. There's walkout songs. Everybody's got a walkout song.
That's insane to me when I go to games and I'm like, well, this is, I wish we had this as kids,
Right. It is fun.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
No doubt.
But I guess that's the level of the question that you have to ask. You have to wonder, when is it too much? When is it, overboard? Does it affect the game? Is it causing, some trouble in the game?
Yeah.
I mean, and then you got to look at, the travel parent stuff, where you got some of the parents, they're yapping back and forth at each other, or they're yapping at the kids that's doing a dance that, hey, you need to cut that out. That's too much. Or you don't talk to my kid that way, that kind of thing. And you got them, they're chapping back and forth. So you can see that, like, it really is a big deal. Definitely at that level. It
That's
looks
where
like
Team Mom is the most crucial person, right? Because she's got to find a way to calm everyone down. But if you've got a frazzled Team Mom and a frazzled coach, oh my goodness, you're gonna have a fun weekend.
Well, and you think about it, the rules are now in travel baseball that if your fan, any of your fans that get ejected, the coach also is ejected from the game. So if your fan you're in charge of those fans, and you're in charge of your parents to make sure that they're hanging in there and doing the right thing. And if the umpire believes it's too much, he'll toss you, and then he'll toss the fan, and then you'll have to rely on your assistant coaches to come in there and handle the business for you.
That's tough, but it needs to be done because it's hard for a head coach to be in control of what's happening in the dugout and then control people that you're not even the same parameters of.
Right.
But at the same time, like, what do? Sit down and talk with Johnny's mom. Hey, Jill. Listen, you've been talking to the umpire in a very disrespectful manner.
A little bit too much, Jilly.
And then what's going to end up happening, though, is, coach is going to be on the verge of getting ejected because of Jill out there in the stands, and now he's going to start yelling at Jill, hey, shut up. Now Jill's husband, Jack, is going to...
Don't you talk to my wife that way.
Now
So
you
now
got
we've
this
got
whole
problems.
side circus over here. So, that's a tough position is to be, because when you're the head coach of a youth travel ball team or any youth sport, not only are you in charge of these youngins, but the people who should be helping you with the youngins, sometimes you got to chaperone them as well.
That's right. And speaking of, I think we have a caller on the line. Coach Jay, are you there with us?
Yes.
All right, Coach. What age group do you coach?
Oh man, I'm at the age of 13 right now, and we've got ages up to going from 8 to 16, and just to tap in what you were saying, for the game how it's changing. You got to understand the showboating. It goes back from the Babe Ruth era. Didn't he point at some point when he hit the home run?
Yes.
Yeah. And now you got the Juan Soto shuffle. You have to understand these kids. They wear chains and they celebrate, you know. But you have to understand, there's so many games they play and there's so much failures they have to overcome. And now at the younger youth level, you go from rec level playing 8 games a season, now you're playing 50.
Yeah.
So imagine the adversity you face.
Yeah. So, you know, have you seen it before where it's ever to that point to where, like, it's just too much?
No, not at that level. And the only thing that gets too much is probably the temperature. But other than, you know, the gameplay, it might be too much on the adults, like y'all pointed out. You know, time and time we harp on the gameplay and the score, but hey, a few hours later, those guys are more focused on what's next, what game is next, and hey, what's the next opponent on Fortnite. But no, these kids, they'll definitely not remember the scores the following week.
Yeah, that's the point that I really am glad you called in with and made, because at the end of the day, baseball, you know, specifically baseball, is such a failure-styled game. I mean, you're going to fail if you play long enough. If you play one game, you're going to fail. But to see the excitement and you know, the enthusiasm and the cheering and the way that the kids come in, I can see that the celebration really isn't the problem. It's us as adults just having to try to, you know, make sure we funnel it to the right way, that it doesn't, you know, step over a line. But you're always going to have that, I guess. I'm sure you've seen some of the parents and some of the umpires, you know, getting a little too much during those games, right, Coach?
Well, not as often. You hear a small percentage of it, but you have to understand there's such a larger percentage that, you know, carry on to the more fun part of the entertainment part. You know, sports, you know, you have to understand at a youth level, 8 to 10, it should be about entertaining, and at the same time you do have to develop. But hey, it's got to be fun, right?
Yeah.
But it's that many games, you know, that you can't key on the negative aspects of it.
Yeah, I saw a kid yesterday. I was actually at the park, and I mean, he come out there, and I guess it was one of his favorite songs. But I mean, from the time he left the dugout until the time he had this little bit of dance going, and he was just, I mean, he just looked like he was having a blast. And I mean, and their team was down at the time. I think they were losing like 6 or 7 to nothing. But I mean, it was his at bat. It was his first at bat, and he was strutting up to that plate, and he was ready. I think he got a base hit. So I mean, I guess it works.
You need, I mean, yeah. What do we always talk about in the mental aspect of sports is just hanging loose and being yourself. And I think every team needs that. Maybe the real competitive players look at them like, come on, dude, like lock in, you know. But I think you need someone on the team to keep things loose and keep everyone laughing, even if it ticks people off at times.
Hey, Coach, yes, I do have another question for you, just because I heard you say 13U. So as far as the age groups, when they get, because that 13U, they're on the bigger field, right?
Yeah, they're tapping in and they're making that transition to the 60-90 3-inch sweet spot BB core, and their life is definitely changing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Those celebrations kind of get a little bit less because they're having to run that longer base path. When they make when they get to second, or, you know, if they slide in, the celebration isn't as much as catching their breath, right, Coach?
Well, that's where everything changes as well. The key aspect is, you know, you also got to think, you know, it's a wonderful time to be alive, to play the game at this moment. You know, now I'm about 50 years old, and we didn't have the things they have when I was 13. You got to take consideration with social media, of course. Then you got to look. There's a camera on every field. You got Game Changer now that's going stream while these guys are playing. So you're right. The celebration's got to be modern at that point, but. You know, what's going to get pointed out is those fundamentals. Are those guys covering their picks? Are they sequencing the game right? And that's our key focus at that point. It's because, hey, this is a high school prep moment right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like when you start looking at it, you know, being around sports my whole life and playing, coaching and doing all those things, you'd much rather have a kid that's enthusiastic and excited about being out there and not having to tell a kid, hey, you need to be excited or, So I think I'm along right there with you. I think it's awesome. I think it's good for the game. I think it, keeps them excited and happy and enjoying this game that we all love so well. Coach, you what organization are you with?
I'm with 5 Star Performance. We're in the DFW area of Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, so you're in Texas. Awesome. Well, I guarantee you the temperature, because we're down here in the Panhandle, and the temperature here is scorching, especially when you're playing on those turf fields. Y'all have a bunch of turf fields down there as well? Uh-oh, I think we lost him. But either way, thank you again, Coach, for giving us that call in. Just kind of touching back base on that, thinking about how the excitement of playing a game. And, I loved how he spoke about that it's a kid's game, and that's what it's for, and that's what it's about. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up, is because, I saw the celebration. I saw some of the things that, that was going on this weekend. And the kids just seem, here we are in the middle of the summer. They just got out of school, and they're waking up early to come play a game. That they're tired. They played, like he talked about, they played Fortnite all night, and they were, probably sleepy. Wake up this morning, and here they are, from, I don't know all the new up and greater rap stars now, but, you talk about, you got people playing Snoop Dogg and Lil Wayne and Tupac, and you got Eye of the Tiger playing. You got every genre you could think about. Everybody's, trying to, come up with their best song or whatever. And just to see those kids walk up and dance and having a great time and, getting up there and smacking the baseball and running as hard as they can. And then when they get there and they're safe, they do a little dance. Who cares? Let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, there you go, man. It is great for the environment as well, and then the kids get to hear all types of. Now, do the kids always choose, or is it do y'all have like the fun, parents choose the song type days and stuff like that? And how often do they stay consistent with the song? They
change them from time to time. Some of them will hear a song that some of the older kids did that they liked or whatever. But I think one of the cool things that we do, and a lot of people do this, is that during the Mother's Day weekend that a lot of teams play tournaments, they let the moms pick the walkout songs. And so, they could be, whatever, Baby Shark to a Barbie song. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. And, those kids, you can just see it all over their face, embarrassed when they're walking up to the plate or whatever. So it's such like,
thanks, Mom, for coming out here and spending your Mother's Day here. For your trade-off, you get to pick one song today.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sweating and having to, which there is some ballpark food that's really good. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But having to eat these soybean burgers out here at the ballpark, and so Mom, you get to pick what we listen to today. So but I think this was a good segment. I think it's important. I think the kids deserve it, because of all the work they do put in, because he was exactly right. I don't know if you realize that, but back when I was younger, we didn't get to play travel. We didn't get to play the weekend. We played park ball, league ball, whatever you want to call it. We played 2 nights a week. We practiced 1 day a week. So we got to come to the ballpark and play 3 days out of the week. And now they're playing, a weekend. Mm-hmm. I know that the Publix, they've got World Series going on right now, starting today. They're going to be running all week. Kids getting to play 6 and 7 baseball games for a whole week. Mm-hmm. Down here at the beach, just being, having a good time with that. And, and that's the thing, they wear their jewelry, they wear the stuff that the pros wear, and it's just cool to see. It's just an awesome thing to see. If you ever get a chance to go out there to Publix and watch those kids play, it's a really cool atmosphere over there at Publix. So, but anyway, when we come back, we're going to be talking a lot of other sports. We've got the NBA to talk about. We've got also the women's college softball that we got to talk about, and don't forget, we've got to talk about a little bit more of the NIL. Some awesome stuff coming back. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
Take ESPN Northwest Florida with you everywhere you go.
anytime, any place, anywhere.
The Sports Talk and Live play-by-play doesn't have to end when you get out of the car. The ESPN Northwest Florida app streams your favorite Sports Talk hosts and the biggest games in ultra-high fidelity.
This is of utmost importance in travel.
Take the Sports Talk monster with you anywhere you go. Available for Android and iPhone.
Use it anywhere or any place.
Need a bed and have no space? The Sleep Center has a new Clover Murphy bed. Convert a functional cabinet into a comfy queen-size bed in less than a minute. Easy to use, easy to love.
The Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
Do you want to eat like a local? The Local 115 is now open. Local drinks, local sports, and local food. Delicious oysters, crab cakes, steamed seafood, gumbos, salads, paninis, wings, wine, and cold beer. Nothing fried. That's right. No fried foods at Local 115. Amazing local food with an exciting local sports and mural theme. Eat like a local at the Local 115. 115 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Need a bed and have no space? The Sleep Center has a new Clover Murphy bed. Convert a functional cabinet into a comfy queen-size bed in less than a minute. Easy to use, easy to love.
The Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus studios, it's the Inside Drive. From the beach to the bay to the backyard. It's the Inside Drive.
I've got sand in my underpants.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to the Inside Drive. I'm your host today, Paul Wilson. So good to have you on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Don't forget you can call or text in at 850-215-6290. So going back to our last segment, that little bit that you played, that could kind of be my walkout song for
there you go.
That segment. So what was that song?
These are all generic songs.
That's just a generic.
So it almost sounded like that Bruno Mars song, like "Up All Night to Get Lucky."
Okay, yeah,
but
yeah, that sounded.
I
thought that was it.
No,
yeah, it sounded just like it.
Nothing that we play. Well, at least on the Inside Drive and the Afternoon Underdogs. Outside of, there's a couple of songs actually that we found a way to. We have the licensing for everything, but Facebook and YouTube just pings, and it just gets annoying. So we've just went away from the name brand music, and we started getting the great value.
There we go, the great value. There we go, better value.
But that's what we'll call it.
Sounds the same.
BVM, better value music.
There we go.
It's a new
right
label.
Here at ESPN Northwest Florida, we got the better value music. All right, so now let's get back into it. So we're going to talk about the good old NBA.
The association.
Yep, the good old Indiana Pacers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And boy, oh boy, was I wrong. I remember on Friday we talked about it. I just thought that, Indiana was going to play a lot better. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more wrong. I wrote down a few things that I wanted to talk about. The first thing that I was wrong about was that I thought more people would be tuned in. I thought it would be a more. I understand that both teams aren't from the huge market. I mean, obviously the state of Indiana, the basketball state, would be what I would call them. But the ratings, man, I looked it up and I saw it, and it said Game 1 of the 2025 NBA Finals between Indiana and Oklahoma City was the lowest rated and least watched finals opener since way back when it first began in 1988 as far as tracking from the Nielsen. So it just was surprising. I was thinking there would be a lot more people watching. I know that you had said there was other things going on. I think the NHL was going on.
No NHL. There was just Sunday Night Baseball and college baseball regionals last night going on at the same time. It's game 2.
Yeah, game 2, but game 1.
No,
was there anything?
No, game 1 was pretty much standalone.
Was it standalone?
Because that was Thursday evening, so there was MLB on.
Yeah, so a little bit of MLB.
Yeah.
And I did see
none
where
of the NHL Stanley Cup games and the NBA final games will fall on the same day.
Okay. So so that part, and then I did see, now this is probably not going to take any viewers away, that the WNBA had a game on or something. I don't know why they did that, but that was kind of pulling against itself right there.
Yeah, that's just is what it is.
Yeah. So I just, so the Oklahoma won 123-107.
Yeah.
I know you're a huge Indiana fan.
Right.
Something that was surprising to me, and we talked about it on Friday. We talked about how that Halliburton only had 14 points. Even though he hit the game-winning shot, he only had 14 points. And I started looking up the stats, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but if he doesn't score, when he scores 20 points or more, they're 7-1.
Yeah.
And so, realistically, for that number, he really needs to be above that. I know that he led the team, I believe, or he was right at the top 2. I think somebody else had 19, but he only had 17 last night.
Yeah.
And so, to me, and I get it. You play a good...
he did lead the team in scoring last night.
Okay, so it was so he was up. Okay,
but it
so
was all
17.
second half. Though it was really all fourth quarter for Tyrese Halliburton. He does got to get going. He's got to get going sooner. He acknowledged that last night, and also on top of that, I don't know what his first shot decides a large part of if the Pacers are going to win or lose, which is a wild statistic. I don't remember exactly what the numbers boil down to, but his first shot changes his field goal percentage. If he makes it, his field goal percentage is like 11 points higher than when he misses his first shot. The Pacers are like 10 games better in the win side of things, maybe even more than that, when he makes his first shot. So that's a huge deal, is just getting Tyrese going a little bit earlier. Hey, the Thunder are the better team. There's no question about that. So any win that they have is, to me, not going to be surprising. And they did exactly what they were supposed to do. I think that this now makes this series more interesting. They could possibly split up there at Indiana, or this series could go exactly how everyone thought it was going to go. And the Thunder could completely stomp out the Pacers and any chance that they have of winning this NBA Finals. There's a chance to that. However, really in Game 1 and Game 2, the Pacers haven't played great basketball. You have to attribute that to the Thunder defense. There's no doubt about that. It's not that the Thunder or that the Pacers are just playing bad. It's because the Thunder are a really good basketball team. And so this series has still got a lot of life left. And going back to Indy is going to be, it's going to be a wild crowd there. And if the Pacers can win Game 3 or Game 4, we're still looking at an even series coming back to OKC. OKC has one home court advantage back, and that's a great deal for them. And we saw out of SGA and Jalen Williams bouncing back last night, these guys are the real deal. But if Tyrese Halliburton gets started a little bit earlier and doesn't just have 3 points in the first half, there's a chance. The Pacers what they need to do is keep the lead to within 12 underneath 10 minutes. And they let it escape them, and they started climbing back. And every time that they started climbing back last night, the Thunder would extinguish their flame. And that's just great basketball great bounce back, too, from SGA, because for 3 days now, 2 days, what are they hearing? All the Pacers, Pacers, and they put it out, and they put it out pretty soon last night as well. And so Game 3 is going to be huge, and we got to wait till daggone Wednesday for that game.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was thinking that it would be sooner than that, but they got to press them out a little bit.
Every other day would be nice.
But that's not realistic. I think that what we talked about on Friday. Again, I'm just bringing up these things that I made the assumption off of one game, which I know better than that. I think that I don't believe that SGA and that Thunder team was rattled at all. No. I don't think it bothered them. I don't think they wanted to lose, obviously, and it took everything that Indiana could do to get that win. But you could just tell by the way we've been here before. It's no big deal. And I mean, they do play the good defense. They do play good offense. And that's the thing. I mean, he's going to score his 30 points just about every game. And I mean, they look to him to kind of set the tone, but they also look to him as to not panic and get upset and worry about, because, I would see like Indiana being that team that's just scrappy and diving for loose balls and all that. And not that OKC doesn't. It's just that I think that they're not freaked out. The game doesn't get too big for them is really what I'm talking about. And I believe going forward, it's just like you said, they've got to make some changes. They've got to get Halliburton involved early. They got to get, maybe make some more special plays to get him the ball early, let him create, because also with that scoring of 20 points or more, in that also he is going to have 10 assists as well to go along with that 20 points, because I believe that's what happens is that he starts scoring, people start doubling down, and then he's able to dish the ball, and his people are supposed to get open and hit the shots. Yeah,
I mean, I think for the Pacers, you don't get out of your game. We've seen Tyrese Halliburton have an 8-point game, and they lose, but it's about not forgetting what got you to this point. And so Tyrese Halliburton, hey, he can have a bounce-back game the same way that the Thunder did. And the Thunder have been in this position. They had a 7-game series with the Nuggets, which is when I knew, like, this team is as legit as what they've shown, as what they have shown all season long. But they lost on a last-second shot to Aaron Gordon and the Denver Nuggets in Game 1, and then they bounced back. But they won that series in 7.
Yeah.
So there's still, while there is a lot of positives to look at from the Oklahoma City Thunder perspective and from their fans' perspective, there's also some things to look at from the Pacers side of, hey, this isn't over just because the reality shoved itself into your face, of how good the Thunder are. The Pacers are still fighters, and there's a reason why we play 7 games and not 3.
Yeah, and you got to think that all the talk right now from all of your media heads is saying that it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. Yeah. That's going to happen, especially after they squeaked out the first one. And then they, pretty much took the control of the whole game from the beginning to the end. And that's the biggest thing, like always being able to stay above the water, stay above what people are trying to put you in, and keeping your, your head clear and ready to go. So, I mean, I know that you're an Indiana fan. Give me a realistic, put your fan hat on right now and give me your realistic, what would you be happy with if you don't win?
Oh, if I don't win the series?
Yeah.
That we're here. My thing was for the Pacers this year, after getting to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, was win one playoff series. You're going up against Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the best players in the league. Win that series, right? And then Dame Lillard goes down. That, was advantageous for the Pacers. Then you go and take on the number 1 seed in the East in the Cleveland Cavaliers. Despite what anyone wants to say about the injuries that they dealt with, hey, Donovan Mitchell still played a heck of a series, and I think a lot of people would take Donovan Mitchell over Tyrese Halliburton, or at least some of the Cavaliers. Anyways, outside of the explosion that ask pre-playoffs, a lot of people are going to be taking Donovan Mitchell over Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
And then you go and you take on the Knicks and you do what you do to them. So to me, right there, like getting to the finals was all. I've already got a Tyrese Halliburton jersey on the way, an NBA Finals Tyrese Halliburton jersey, just because I don't care if we win this series. Like, now he's on level playing field with Reggie Miller in Pacerdom, which is insane. Right. So that to me, if he wins the finals, he's the greatest Pacer of all time if you're a Pacers fan. And that's wild that you just automatically can put yourself in that conversation. So the season is a win right now. Right. As a fan, I'm sitting here like, I don't care if we were to have got swept. You won one game of the NBA Finals. Let's go.
Yeah.
Happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about, even that Halliburton could be possibly, with this win, if they could pull this off somehow, some way, he'd be the greatest pacer. I think over the weekend they asked Detlef Schrempf about it, and that's what he said. He said, outside of Halliburton winning, Reggie will always be the greatest pacer, but if Halliburton wins, he said, we've got to give it to him.
Yeah, and it's what other situation? I mean, and you could almost say the same thing on the flip side for the Thunder if you exclude the Seattle Supersonics side out of it, because KD, Westbrook, Harden, all of those great players got to the finals in 2012, but never brought the chip back. So could SGA end up being the greatest Thunder of all time?
Yeah, I mean, winning MVP, and then if they win, he's going to be the series MVP, no question. So, possibly, yes. I mean, we got both sides here. Yep. OKC greatest or Indiana greatest. And when we come back, we will be discussing the NIL and more of college baseball. And we got our guests coming in as well. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
It's here. The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app version 2.0. Now featuring ultra high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Monday. Some sun and a likelihood of thunderstorms the rest of the day with a moderate breeze around 15 miles per hour out of the southwest, and look for it to be 87. Tonight, there will be a variety of some clouds and likely thunderstorms with the temperature reaching 77. Likely thunderstorms and moderate rain tomorrow with a high of 86. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Experience a higher level of service. David Adamson Designer Jewelry has been providing you the very best of fine jewelry and repair in Lynn Haven for over 32 years. David has added Amber Anderson and Russ Clare, names you've known and trusted in PCB for years with your fine jewelry and watch needs. Find that one-of-a-kind engagement ring, that special anniversary gift, or something colorful just for you. Amber and Russ will find it or build it for you. Serving Bay County and beyond in Lynn Haven at the corner of Ohio Avenue and 9th. David Adamson Designer Jewelry.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you thinking of doing a fundraiser? Well, Krispy Kreme Donuts next to HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and on the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan says, let's raise some dough. Earn up to 50% profit with a Krispy Kreme fundraiser in-shop or online. So let's raise some dough. At Krispy Kreme Donuts next to HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and on the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Your spot for Atlanta Braves baseball here on the Gulf Coast. Don't forget, coverage starts tonight at 6 p.m., 6:40 first pitch. The Braves take on the Brewers. And real quick, before we get back to what we were going to talk about, I wanted to bring up something real quick with you, David. I saw this over the weekend because we were talking about the OKC. Did you see the report that came out that said Hapoel Tel Aviv is offering Russell Westbrook a 3-year, $150 million deal to come and play over there in the Euro League? How does that sound?
It sounds like $50 million a year that he's not going to be getting here. And so a great way for him to kind of cap off his earnings portion of his career. Somewhat disappointed to the extent of, when these guys get up in age and they've done a lot for the sport. I like Russell Westbrook is a guy I would like to see have achieve the goal of getting a ring.
Yeah.
But he's foregoing that opportunity to go over there and make some bank. So, hey, I can't blame the guy. He knows what his future looks like better than what I do. So congratulations to him on getting the bag. And the thing is, you start seeing Russell Westbrook and players like that who still have some left in the tank.
Yeah.
Going over there to chase the bag, you could have other players following as well.
Yeah, and going overseas to play has always been lucrative at times in money because, when you go over there, it's a whole different pay structure. There's a lot of things. I know I had a couple of friends that had went over and played overseas, and they made a lot of money. And the stardom over there is a little different as well. You wouldn't think it would be, but it is. It's very lucrative over there. For the most part, you don't pay for hardly any of your meals. When you go to a restaurant, it's kind of like a college football coach in the college town. You go to a restaurant, pretty much if the establishment isn't comping your bill, somebody sitting there is comping your bill. So, being able to just put that money back, obviously he's made several $1 million in his career, but being able to go at the end of your career, being at his age and being able to make that, you don't want to turn that down. But I just thought that was something kind of cool to see that happen. Let's move on over to the women's college softball. And wow.
Yeah.
Texas takes it to Texas Tech in that final game, 10-4. They erupted for 5 runs in the first inning, and it knocked Nyjah Kennedy out of the game. Were you able to watch that one?
No. By the time that I went over to ESPN, the app, and checked the scores, I had no interest in. It was 10-0.
Yeah.
So, because what was going on? That was Friday night. So I'm not sure what I was doing, but I, had full intentions of watching that. But by the time I looked at the score, I knew that thing was over, and Tennessee just wanted it more. And they had experience on their side. Not that Nyjah didn't have experience; she absolutely did, but Texas had been there the last 3 out of 4 years not winning. So the team who's hungriest 9 times out of 10 is going to come out on top. And I feel like Texas was more hungry than what Texas Tech was.
Yeah. And to start the game, I think Mia Scott, she started the game out. With 3 runners on base, she hits a home run. 4-0. And then I think she pitched to the next girl she got on. She had with 2 outs. And so with that, giving up those 5 runs in that first inning was the dagger for sure. And again, you applaud them, but you also, they rode her all the way there, and she was just phenomenal pitching. Now she struggled hitting this time.
Right.
She struggled pretty heavily. I was talking to one of the fans about it, and actually on Saturday, I was talking to him on Saturday. They were like, "Yeah, she really did great, but pitching obviously, but she didn't hit as well as she had in times past." So guess what? As reported on Saturday morning, Kennedy signs another $1 million deal with Texas Tech.
Oh, her third one?
So she is coming back. Yes. So she is coming back to Texas Tech to play next year, and it was breaking news that she signed another $1 million.
She did that before the third game, actually.
Is that what it was? Yeah, it was like before the third game, like that day of, right?
It was the morning
of
Friday. Maybe it was in between the inside drive and the afternoon underdogs when she got that deal.
When she signed,
because I was coming up with questions for Sydney Field. So that's huge. But still, man, if I was a coach, I would tell my players, even if it's Nyjah Kennedy, lock in. Let's worry about this game right here, and then we can worry about next year. But doing a deal for next year in the midst of a College World Series, in my opinion, your head is not 100% on the game. Now, can I fault her? If I was in that position, would have I done the same thing? I don't know. I've got different agents. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got your agents, you got your family, you got your coaches, everyone telling you different things. I just would have preferred, like, hey, the day after the championship or whatever, or celebrate for 24 hours and then start worrying about what's going to happen in 2026. But right now, let's worry about winning this Women's College World Series.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That was what was a little bit shocking to me, is that they went ahead and released that the day of, like right before they're about to take the stage to play. And applause to her. That's that's great for her going out and getting the money. But also, I know you are our in-house local NIL veteran aficionado. I've put that on your plate as being that guy.
Yeah.
So,
which is a lie, everyone. That's a lie. No one knows.
That's right. Nobody knows. So on Friday, the deal was ratified. I don't know if you saw this. The NIL was ratified. The schools can actually pay athletes directly, and that takes place on July the 1st, 2025. So as I've read it, again, I'm not 100% all the way on everything, nuts and bolts of it all. But from what I gathered from what I was reading and the news that followed up with is that the cap is expected to hover around the $20 million money range annually per school. That number will be able to cover all the sports, though. So that's the school actually can pay or, distribute $20 million in that area. Now, it's probably going up or down or whatever after they get all the nuts and bolts out there. But now the schools don't have to go through the collective for all of the money. Now the schools can actually pay the players. How do you feel about that?
It's just one of those, it's another cog in the wheel of like, all right, so what are we doing here? Are you guys employees or are you amateur athletes? I'm 100% fine with the, pretending that it's not the schools and everything and you making your money off of your name, image, and likeness.
Right.
But then now there's going to be, we're talking about $15 to $20 million, right, is about what teams are going to be spending. And that's not just on your football team, whereas we've got teams like Texas out there, who they say it's not as high, but close to $30 to $40 million. We'll say somewhere in there paying for their roster.
Yep.
All right. That's just NIL money, though. So now some of these kids are going to be getting paid by the school. They're going to be getting their education paid for. They're going to have the more popular that you are, the more that your name, image, likeness is, and they're probably going to be the ones who are getting the most from the school as well because they want to be represented pay-wise by both parties, right, the school and the endorsers. So I just think that I don't like it. My initial reaction is I don't like it, but we've known that this is going to be happening for a while. We'll figure out a way to dance through this, I guess. To me, I have no issue with these guys being able to make money, but when it's all about the money, which is what we continue to see over and over again, I just don't like that because that's what everything is about. It used to be like if you're a business owner, I could understand you making everything about money. But now it is across the board, sports, TV, what you post on your social media, everything. Dadgum, every time that you put your card in to pay for something, not only are you paying for tax, but then everyone's asking you for a dadgum tip on top of that. Like, what? You turned around, bro. You turned around to grab something. I'm supposed to tip you on that. But and so now my little sandwich is going to cost me more than working for a daggum hour. Like every silly little thing is about the money side of things. And you give them an inch, they take a mile. Yeah. Right? And that's what we're seeing out of this NIL deal. Yeah. And I'm not faulting the players. I'm faulting the universities more than anything because they were so greedy for so long.
Yeah.
That this is the reason why we're in this position.
That's right. And see, you got to think, too, they're getting a free scholarship to come and play at the school. And that makes me, that pushes me to the next question on that is, will they work something out there where they'll have to give the money for their classes? Will they, you know what I mean? That could be something that they could do. But the problems that they're going to have is that number, that 20 million, was the starting point. I could see, some of the people that have been commenting on it and reporting it is stating that in the 5 years it could be $35 million that these schools are actually paying. I mean, if you look at it, even the EA Sports game now, if you play with a team, EA Sports is going to turn around and give that school the money for when they play with the team.
It's like a team needs to be played with 7 million times or something like that, and they get a nice chunk of change to play with. And like the video game world is not only just helping the players or giving an ability for the players to make an extra source of revenue, but also the schools now as well, which is fine and dandy for the Kent States and the Coastal Carolinas. That's a cool little aspect. But Texas and Alabama and Ohio State don't need that. However, the EA Sports has got to throw them a bone to keep them participating in this. Because if they don't, then that game is not happening. And it's, again, another selfish, greedy situation where, Notre Dame could say, you know what, we don't want to let you guys use our image and licensing and all of that stuff this year. Notre Dame's not in the game. And why'd y'all do that? What benefit do you make? What do you really? It's a drop in the bucket. You're 1% of 7 million stream or 7 million game players or whatever.
Right.
That's nothing for y'all.
Yeah, and you got to think too. Like when you look at all of it, what are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to pay these kids? Are we trying to make them millionaires? Are we trying to make the game better? Are we trying to make more parity in the teams? Because this right here, in my opinion, again, that is not going to happen. Your Blue Bloods are going to stay Blue Bloods. They're going to stay winning. They're going to be able to pay the money. Your Texases, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Michigans, all those guys are going to be able to do that. Then you look at your basketball teams. You're going to be able to, your Kentuckys and Kansas and Duke and North Carolina, they're going to still be able to put the money in there. And it's going to be to the point to where it's going to be who can pay the most and get them in there. You can only see small items of where a team like Texas Tech was able to pay one player this enormous amount of money to come and play, and for her to really manipulate the game enough to be able to put them in the winner's bracket. Because obviously you can't do that in basketball. You can't do that in football, and you definitely can't do that in baseball because the women's college softball is a little bit different where she can pitch every single game. And and that's the thing. Again, I'm with you. I don't think it's a problem for these kids to make money. I do have a little bit of a problem that there's not a cap. Now, I did read where it said that college sports, there's going to have to be a college sports commission, and they will hire a CEO soon. That was reported. That is something that needs to happen. I agree with that, but the problem is that you know as well as I do that every person has their own opinion, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be people's pockets getting lined, and what are we going to do to make sure that this thing is fair? What are we going to do to make sure that it is done the right way? And how do you do it the right way? You know what I mean? How do you dismantle this whole conglomerate that's got all these collectives, that's got all these business owners involved? You got all these boosters involved still. Now you're bringing in the schools to be able to pay these kids money. How are you going to be able to rein it all in and be able to decide what's a good number? It's going to be a job, and then you can't tell me that commission's not going to have to be paid. The commission's going to have to be paid. The CEO of the commission's going to have to make $1 million just so that it'll be worth his time, because he's going to have to dive in, and they're going to have lawyers, and they're going to have accountants, and they're going to have to really look at everything. So it's really going to be a place where you have to know what you're doing to make sure that it comes out to whatever the future outcome of what it is, because you're going to have kids that are going to do like what Carson Beck did. Why do I need to go to the NFL? I can make my money now. I can go ahead and get paid now. I don't have to go get drafted and go sit behind a veteran. I don't have to go do the OTAs. I don't have to be an unrestricted free agent and get drafted and be on the scout team for 3 or 4 years when I could have been making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year, doing that, getting my sponsors now. And so that's really, I want to know, the biggest question that I have for all of this is, what's the outcome that you're looking for? What is it that we're actually trying to get? because I don't really know at this point. At this point, I have no idea what we're trying to accomplish here. Obviously, as a fan first, I want to see good football across the board. I don't want to set up on a Saturday morning and ready to watch football and only see the number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 teams that are always good win every year, the same teams over and over.
Yeah, no one knows what we're trying to accomplish outside of building the best football teams under the circumstances that are possible right now. And we'll just kind of keep on going through the motions with all of this. And then there'll be a new rule, and then they'll take this away. And coaches are just going to scramble to do their best to put the best product on the table. So, yeah, we're in a time where we've been, shaking our hands at the cloud for years now. And we're still not any closer to having an understanding of what's going on. So it's just take it by day. And the best advice that I have for anyone who this is bothering is just enjoy the game. And if you don't enjoy the game, then just don't watch it.
Yeah, or put it on mute. I got a real quick rundown. Your top NIL players for 2025. Arch Manning leads the list at $6.5 million. Cooper Flagg, $4.8 million. Carson Beck, $4.3 million. Liv Dunn, $4.1 million. Jeremiah Smith, $4 million. AJ Dye-Bansa, the new recruit for BYU, $3.8. DJ Lagway, $3.8. Lenore Sellers, $3.7. Garrett Nussmeier, $3.6, and Cade Klubnik, $3.3 million, which, if you look at it, most of them is your college football players. And so with this new collective, I would assume that it would be more and more of the basketball and of the other sports coming in with them getting more money. So that's where I really feel like that's where we're going to go with it. And I'm just amazed at how much they're making. We knew Arch Manning was going to be at the top of the list, but if you look at him, he's not even starting quarterback yet. And that's the thing about it. Cooper Flagg, he did awesome. He did amazing. Carson Beck, here he is hurt coming into the year, hurt. And he's still making the money. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith, unstoppable wide receiver out there at Ohio State, making $4 million. I mean, some of these I can see, some of these I can't see. The Garrett Nussmeier and the Cade Klubnik, I don't see those guys making that much money, into that. So, and that's really for me, that's a lot of money for a college kid to come in to play a game and not even start yet. It's just my opinion. But when we come back, we will be talking to our buddy, our friend, Alan Watson, at our own Golf Plus. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Monday. Some sun and a likelihood of thunderstorms the rest of the day with a moderate breeze around 15 miles per hour out of the southwest, and look for it to be 87. Tonight, there will be a variety of some clouds and likely thunderstorms with the temperature reaching 77. Likely thunderstorms and moderate rain tomorrow with a high of 86. This weather is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
This is Patrick with Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. Mole cricket season is here. Before these insects can do damage or even destroy your lawn, call Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. We will come out to your property to quickly and effectively stop lawn-destroying mole crickets so you don't have to make costly repairs. Look us up on Facebook at Turf Pro PC or call Turf Pro at 850-890-5820. 850-890-5820. Call the blue and yellow trucks where we'll make your lawn green.
Broadcasting from the Golf Plus studios, it's the Inside Drive. Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
It's alive! Look alive! We're alive!
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And thanks for tuning in today to the Inside Drive. I'm your host, Paul Wilson, today, and on the phone, we have the owner of Golf Plus, one of our great sponsors here, Alan Watson. How you doing today, Alan?
I'm good, man. Nice to talk to you.
Yes, this is our first time to actually get to talk. I've been a guest at times with Ryan, so you're stuck with me today about something that is, I watch it, but I'm not very good at it, if that makes sense.
That's most of us.
Well, yesterday, me and my wife, after for dinner, we went over to Los Rancheros over there, Bayou, on the Gulf side, or beach side, and I pointed over there. I said, there's where our buddy is, Alan Watson, and she was like, oh, do you get to talk to him? I was like, I think I get to talk to him today, so, or, you know, being today, so. But I got some questions for you, me and David both. I just wanted to ask you, been hearing a lot of chatter, even this morning hearing some chatter about Scotty Scheffler. I mean, is he just going to continue to be dominant? I know this is probably one of the easier softball questions, but good grief, is he just going to stay dominant? I mean, I don't know if we've seen any kind of domination like this since Tiger.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, he is going to stay dominant, but one of the things that we haven't really addressed, we've talked about it before on the show, but one of the things we haven't talked about enough, and I don't want to take away from his accomplishments, but we keep forgetting that he's dominating at a time when Live Golf exists and some of the best players in the world he doesn't have to face off against every week. Now, I'm not saying that he can't beat Jon Rahm, and I'm not saying he can't beat Cam Smith, and I'm not saying he can't beat, all these guys that are over there playing at Live. But, he only has to face them 4 times a year in the majors, and obviously so far his record has been stellar there. But the big problem is we're going to go down in history 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now, and we're going to say it was Jack Nicklaus that dominated his era, it was Tiger Woods that dominated his era, and it's Scotty Scheffler that dominated his era. But what they're not going to have to say about the first 2 guys is that there was another golf league that pulled some of the best players in the world away, and so therefore he didn't have to face them. And so as much as I want to laud Scotty, and I have on this program, there's going to be an asterisk there where we look back and say, but he didn't have to tee it up against Bryson DeChambeau week in and week out, and on with the names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of something that people kind of forget. That being said, he's still one of the most dominant figures in sports we've ever seen, and even if they were teeing up every week against him, he'd probably still be winning at pretty much the same clip, let's be honest.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. I mean, and me and Ryan, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we talked about it a little bit on the show. And we were just talking about how that, everybody loved the Phil and the Tiger. Everybody loved the Jack and the Arnold, and it would be really cool to have someone like that for Scotty, because week in, week out, everybody wanted it to be Rory, or, back in the, 5-6 years ago, everyone was hoping that Jordan Spieth would make the turn and be that guy. But how do you feel about it? Do you think it would be better for golf if he had a nemesis, so to speak, or somebody that week in, week out that was really trying to beat every time?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see a little bit more stacked field week in and week out. I mean, some of these leaderboards, it's like, man, is this the Who Cares Open? I mean, what is going on around here? I mean, it is tough to look at these leaderboards when you don't see a Ricky Fowler and you don't see a Jordan Spieth and you don't see a Justin Thomas and there's no Xander Schauffele, and where did Colin Morikawa go? And before you know it, you're 20 people down before you see a name that you recognize. And so, as is the nature of sport, obviously young people come into the game and people age out and all that. And so I get it. But, I mean, even Phil Mickelson still plays good golf at his age. And I would love to see Phil and Scotty go head-to-head from time to time. And that's just we're not getting to see that. And so it is frustrating. And it would be nice if somebody else besides Rory and Scotty were dominant so that we would at least have something. I mean, it just seems like it's a different guy every week. You got Sepp Straka, and he's amazing. And then you've got, Fox that won this weekend, and you've got all these other guys, and it's like they're good, but there's just not that, like you said, there's no Arnie Jack. There's no Tom Watson to fight against Jack. There's no David Duval to fight against Tiger. We just don't have that anymore. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. And, I remember one guy that, he had a little hot streak back in the Tiger years was Vijay Singh. I mean,
Absolutely.
Those kind of guys, that would come in and go on a run or just start hitting the ball well. And then speaking of Phil, I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. He hit a shot out of the bunker. And it was just amazing. I don't know if you saw that or not, but it was
basically went over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Basically went up and over his shoulder onto the green and then into the hole. And he wasn't very far away either. I mean, he was short-sighted, so really almost like a trick shot, And he practices that kind of stuff for the fun of it and also for competition. And it doesn't come up very often. But, that was a great shot. I think we posted that to our social media over the weekend because that was a heck of a shot.
Yeah, it's crazy when you see that kind of stuff. It puts it in perspective because if you've ever been out on the golf course and you've just tried to hit the ball straight, to see these guys put the English on it, to be able to shoot over, like you said, over his shoulder on a short shot, it makes you respect it. That's one thing about it. Golf can make you humble very quickly.
Sure.
What's some of the services that you do over there for some of our listeners maybe that hasn't been listening for a while or something?
Yep. No, if you're a golfer or if you know a golfer and you need to shop for them, we offer custom fitting for golf clubs, which is kind of a big thing. We get a lot of calls for that. We book a lot of appointments for that, and that's the main thing that we do. Another thing that we do that is really more relevant to every golfer is club repair. So whether it's just a basic regrip or if it's a full set of reshafts or if it's just any number of things that you might need done, loft lie adjustment, length adjustment, just whatever kind of club repair we can handle, anything in terms of modern club repair. Now, we don't work on woodwoods from 50 years ago and all that. We don't do that kind of stuff, but we do modern club repair. And then we have a full store with retail product as well. So if you need a new pair of golf shoes, bags, tees, gloves, balls, all that kind of stuff, we are here for all of that as well. And, we like to think of ourselves as a relatively well-rounded golf shop. We try not to lean too much in any one direction, but that's basically the gist of what we do.
That's awesome. And so I didn't hear you say that you fix everybody's golf swing, though. That's one thing I didn't hear you say.
No. Yeah, that's a tough one. Sometimes people will call and they'll say, hey, does your machine analyze my swing? And it's like, not actually analyze your swing, but we use the data to then understand what's going on with the swing to then get the club to fit, and but it's not swing analysis per se. In other words, the machine doesn't have a camera to say, oh, your elbow's out of position or your setup's bad. We help people with that. I mean, like I had a guy this morning doing a fitting, and before he got good started, he said, how did he put it? He was like, if you see something, say something about my swing now. Like, he's like, I know this isn't a golf lesson. I know it's a fitting, but and sure enough, his ball position, he was a little too far away from it, so he was catching it out on the toe. We were able to show him that on the screen. Hey, look, you're way out on the toe. And he said, yeah, I feel like I do that a lot. And I said, well, hey, just get a little closer to it. And as soon as he got half an inch closer, without making any change to his swing or anything, he started hitting the ball in the center of the club face, hitting the ball quite a bit further, higher, etc. So we help with that as well, but we don't do a ton of lessons. And we actually do have a teacher here that does some lessons as well, but he's not available all the time. So, I can't take like 100 students or anything. It's like 2 a week is all we can take right now.
I got you. Again, we're here talking with our friend Alan Watson, the owner of Golf Plus, here in the Golf Plus studio. Alan, I just appreciate, the game so much that, and you have to when you get out there and you play for 4 or sometimes 6 hours and, devote your day to it because it's, especially here in Florida, it's so hot. But tell us about some of the things that you would give people as far as when you're out there playing, especially in this heat right now. Take some water breaks, things not to do. Do you have any of those type things?
I mean, when it's hot out like this, I just recommend people do what I do, which is drive the ball into the trees. That way you get to play in the shade and you don't have to play out in the middle of that hot, stinking fairway. So that's my first tip, is just drive it into the trees. And then if that doesn't work, then, yeah, absolutely, you got to stay hydrated for sure. And I tell you, this is going to sound like a PSA, but I went to the doctor the other day for a little bump on my arm, and she was like, hey, let me look at your head, too, because you look like you get some sun. And sure enough, I'm 50 years old. She had to, freeze a couple little things on my head. And, skin cancer is a big deal.
Yeah.
So I would say wear a lot of sunscreen, because I've been having to go to see her every few weeks now because of the skin stuff. And, it can be pretty scary. So definitely want to take care of yourself out there. And, if you get to the turn and you're not feeling good, go inside and rest for a little while, let a couple of groups pass you, and then go back out. It's no big deal. But, yeah, it is extremely hot down here and muggy. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that. They're just kind of out having fun. And, I know for me, just as I've gotten older, having water, Gatorade, something like that, something that rehydrates the body is super important.
Yeah, me and you need that, Alan, especially the tips for the skin care, the sunscreen care, because we don't have as much as that natural sunscreen on the top of our heads. But, we got a big weekend coming up here for the U.S. Open. Who are some guys that you have your eyes on for this upcoming weekend?
Well, I mean, we've already talked about Scotty Scheffler. Everybody, of course, will be watching him. I would be looking out for Bryson DeChambeau. I would be looking out for I keep waiting for Colin Morikawa to come back to form from where he was a couple of years ago, and Schauffele as well. So I think it's kind of those guys that you would expect are going to be up there. But this is such an interesting event every year because you have total amateurs in the field, you have pros in the field, you have guys who've qualified, who maybe used to play on tour. It's kind of a mixed bag of who gets to play in the U.S. Open, and so this should be really interesting. But I mean, gosh, if I had to lay the mortgage on it, obviously we'd have to go with Scheffler.
Yeah.
What would you say, Alan, is the number one advantage on tour? Is it distance? Is it the short game? When it comes to the PGA Tour, what skill is the number one advantage?
Well, I would say, distance is a huge advantage. So I was catching a little bit of the LIV Tour on, I think, Saturday, and they were talking about strokes gained in terms of distance, which is kind of a new stat they've been tracking over the last several years, and they track it on the PGA Tour as well. But Bryson was like 1.93 strokes gained against the field on average every time he tees it up on the LIV Tour. So he's basically getting almost 2 strokes around just because he can hit it so much further than everybody else that he gets to hit left club into the green, which means he can be more accurate, which means he makes more birdies, more eagles, whatever. And so I think distance in the modern game, when you look at a stat like that, is huge. And look at Rory. When he's hitting the ball well, he wins, and he's the longest hitter out there, at least on the PGA Tour, right? So I think when you look at those two guys, Rory and Bryson, in their respective tours, you got to say distance is the number one thing right now.
There you go. Let's see. Give me a young player that's impressed you so far to this point this year and maybe could make some noise at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, Ludwig Åberg is really the hottest young player over the last year or so on tour. He's just got an incredible swing. He's got a good demeanor about himself. He's got a balanced game. You know, he can do everything. And I think he's the guy that really is primed to be a superstar, and maybe he already is, but in golfers' minds. But I think he's going to be even bigger over the next few years. I think Åberg is the guy to watch.
Let's go to a swing tip, and then we'll ask you about the product that you're loving over there. What can us recreational golfers do to add more distance, but without losing control?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is just, you know, if we're talking about driver, the biggest thing is probably maybe cut your driver down like an inch, you know, get where the shaft's a little bit shorter where you can be more consistent. So you can find the center of the club face, you're going to hit it further. I think that's a big thing. And then just consistency. We see it all the time with ball setup, placement and everything. Guys are trying different things. There's different tee heights, different balls. Like, they're always changing things around. You got to find a consistent setup that works and just do it over and over again. But finding the center of the club face is, at the end of the day, that is the big key to distance. And these longer shafts that a lot of the clubs come with nowadays really don't help you in that regard unless you just happen to be crazy tall. So for normal folks, I think getting the driver cut down to a more acceptable distance. I'm not saying cut it down short. I'm just saying cut it back down to kind of what's more normal, so around 45, maybe even like 44 and a half, 44 and 3/4 inches. A lot of these drivers are coming at almost 46 inches now, and honestly, it's just too long.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got the owner of Golf Plus on the line with us, Alan Watson. Alan, give us the product that you're loving over there at Golf Plus.
Yeah, not a lot of new stuff going on right now. We did just get in some new hats that I really like. They're Titleist, and they are kind of a custom piece that we had made for us, so they're not something you can get anywhere else. It's a black adjustable on the back half, but on the front it's white, and then it's got the black and red Titleist logo. So it's a really unique hat. Like I said, you're not going to see this at any of the big sporting goods stores. This was what we call a makeup hat that was made up just for my buying group. But it's a great-looking Titleist hat, and, you know, just in time for Father's Day. So, and we got tons of headwear. So if you're looking for a gift for Father's Day, you know, come see us and grab Dad a good-looking hat and a dozen balls, and I'm sure he'll be a lot happier than with socks and a tie.
There you go.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Alan, thank you so much for being on. I did notice yesterday when we were out there, there are a bunch of people out there. What's your hours so that people can know real quick?
Yeah, we're 9:30 to 5:30 through the week and 10 to 4 on Saturday, and we're closed on Sundays.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, we're here with Alan Watson from Golf Plus. Alan, thank you so much, and we'll be talking back to you, I'm sure, and just have a great week. Stay hydrated out there, and hopefully everything goes well for you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. We really appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And when we come back, we're going to be diving into the baseball world for college. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Mornings on ESPN Northwest Florida just got unsportsmanlike.
If Will Howard is on the board to be your starting quarterback at any point this season, that means you should have drafted a quarterback earlier in the NFL draft. That's the problem with allowing the Aaron Rodgers thing to drag out after the NFL draft, because you limit the options that you have to upgrade that quarterback room.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Weekdays 5 to 7 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Get ready to discover new adventures this summer and hit the road in a new 2025 Kia Telluride from Bill Bird Kia. Whether you're traveling on the highways or off-road, you'll do it with grace and grit. Now offering 3.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Telluride. Experience what everyone's talking about and stop by for a test drive. Discover the perfect fit featuring spacious 8-passenger seating, premium interior, and advanced safety and technology features. Bill Bird Kia, the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. The road is yours this summer in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Telluride with $2,253 per $1,000 financed at 48 months. Qualities limited, cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 7/7/25.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. We're betting the limit and covering the spread. The Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay.
Thank you. Nice to be in Vegas.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive. I'm your host today, Paul Wilson. Don't forget to stay tuned for later tonight, your spot for the Atlanta Braves baseball. The first pitch will be tonight at 6:40, hoping that the Braves can get back into the win column. Well, I've come to the realization, David.
What you got?
Last week, Friday, we went through a real quick pick'em for the College Baseball World Series Super Regionals. I didn't do so well.
I don't think I did either.
I think you did better than me. And so I guess I'm going to start just being, I might just start diving out of picking.
Nah.
Because my picks have just been really bad. And before too long, I know that the colleges that I'm picking for, they're not probably in our listening area.
Yeah.
But man, if I was one of their local radio hosts in that city or that college town, they might be calling me and asking me to please stop picking their team because it has not been very well. The only thing that I can say, the only bright spot, so to speak, of my picking here lately has been Sovereignty. With the old,
yeah, there you go.
He won the Triple Crown, or I'm sorry, he won the Kentucky Derby, and then this past weekend he won the Belmont. So Sovereignty did it. I didn't pick him for the second one, but I did pick him on the first one. The horse that was supposed to win everything this year was Journalism, which he come in second
at the Derby,
and second yesterday at Belmont.
Oh, and then won Preakness.
And then he won Preakness. So, yeah. So Sovereignty, I don't know if you knew this or not, but they sat out of the Preakness.
Yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with the horse. They just wanted to give him rest so that he can compete in the Belmont. And so, I know, everybody wanted the Triple Crown.
I got the update that the Belmont Stakes was like an hour away or whatever, and I was like, oh, well, there's nothing really riding on it, so didn't watch it or anything.
Yeah.
But had he ran and won the Preakness, then I would have, that's must-watch TV at that point.
It is, and, everybody gave him a hard time about it, the trainers and all, but I mean, in the end, he was right.
He made the right move.
I mean, he made the right move. As a fan, we want to see greatness. We want to see the records broke and all of that, but,
What'd you make, like a measly extra $5 million per horsey that it puts out from here on out or something? Come on, man.
Well, I mean,
it goes back to greed, Paul. It goes back to greed.
I know, but we've got to take care of our horses. What they need to do is they need to give a couple of weeks in between instead of having them go. It is like every
2 and then 3 or something.
Yeah, it's 2 and then 3. But if they could just give them like maybe what they do for the NBA playoffs, just give them an extra 3, 5, 7 days.
There you go.
Then we should be okay with that.
I mean, but 3 weeks between both. There should definitely be, if anything, reverse the order, right? Because isn't the Kentucky Derby the longest one?
Yes,
I believe so. So you go 3 weeks from that to the Preakness, and then another 3 weeks. I mean, what the heck is the difference?
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing is that, what's been phenomenal about Sovereignty, though, is that in the Kentucky Derby, it was a mud bowl.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, it was the same deal. So that dude can run barefoot in the mud. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So, that's what's crazy about it. One more thing before we dive into the college baseball, I did want to share that it is true. Aaron Rodgers has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers 1 year, $13.65 million contract with $10 million guaranteed and has a maximum value of $19.5 million. The deal also includes $5.85 million worth of play time and team performance incentives. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff online real quick as we move on, but I've seen a lot of stuff that I don't believe is true. I don't believe he said anything about Shadur Sanders if the Steelers draft him that there's no chance. Because I've never seen it actually come out from a truthful scenario. I think it's just more of online chatter. But, man, do you believe that that's going to be a good fit for him? And did you see the schedule coming out? It's going to be either a revenge tour or it is going to be a non-revenge tour going on.
Yeah, it is interesting that he's going to be playing against the NFC North over there and with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't say I'm excited about this or that it changes anything because of what we saw the last 2 years. So if I'm going off of the last 2 years, then I don't think, I think it'll be another miracle for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers to finish a game 500 if I'm going off of the last 2 years. He's another year removed from that Achilles tendon injury. I think that the Steelers as an organization, as a franchise, are in a better position. They just are normally better than what the Jets are. So that could be something that plays a role. I think that the Steelers start hot. I think it's same old for the Steelers. They start hot and they find a way to screw it all up at the end of the year.
Yeah, but I think with that, starting out hot always helps them so that they can make the playoffs. Yeah. That kind of pushes them into the playoffs, which is fine. Just seeing someone his age that's had the injury, I hope I'm a fan. He's not my favorite player or anything like that, but I am a fan of these older guys staying in the league and playing. I mean, I don't know, maybe me being as old as I am, vicariously living my life through those guys, seeing him. And then we spoke earlier about Denny Hamlin winning yesterday. I think that's his third or fourth win of the year.
At least third, yeah.
Yeah, so he's in his 40s. So it would do me very much pleasure, so to speak, if I saw Aaron Rodgers go out there and look good. Now, the thing about the NFL, and I heard a previous show talk about it. They talk about how the game manager is used in a negative connotation. But if you look at it, you have to manage the game. You have to make some throws, but you do have to manage the game. You have to be able to come up to the pre-snap and give some, you have to make some changes, some adjustments. You don't Will Levis the ball. You definitely throw the ball away or take the sack, whichever one. And that's a part of being able to be a good game manager is, weigh the goods and bads that could happen and just make sure you cause the game to be taken away. So I would love to see Aaron Rodgers in there, get in there with the Steelers and really, play good defense, run the ball, and make some good throws. I don't believe they're going to be asking him to drop 50-yard dimes every week. You know what I mean? I think they're going to try to get the ball out early. I think they're going to, hopefully the run game will go good. And hopefully the defense will work good. I'm not a huge Steelers fan, but I think it is good because they are one of the marquee teams, big market teams in the NFL. I think it does them well to do well and to see him come out and do pretty good at least. I hope he doesn't get hurt. That's the biggest thing. I don't want him to get hurt, even if he doesn't do that well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the wide receiving core does for him because, that was one of the biggest complaints over there for the Jets, but he had Garrett Wilson, he had Devontae Adams. I never really understood that. You had Breece Hall in the backfield. Really, when you look at it, he had weapons, and so he's got DK Metcalf now. Outside of that, Pat Freiermuth, and then the other thing is, now the running back room could be explosive, but I feel like it would have been more advantageous for the Steelers to keep the two-headed monster that they had in Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Now you're hoping that Trey Sermon, who's your fourth-string back, can finally find the hype that was put upon him.
Yeah, he was a 5-star, came out of Texas. Yeah.
Well, in Ohio State is where he that's where he played ball at.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got Kenneth Gainwell from the Eagles and Caleb Johnson. So that's going to have to be the Steelers' mindset, is run first to open up Aaron Rodgers, not let everything go through Aaron Rodgers. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and if you remember the style of football that they play, when they had Ben Roethlisberger, is, you played that smash mouth, but he had to make throws, and I believe that's what he's going to have to do. Play good defense, and see where it goes. So I just wanted to pick your brain on that one, see where you thought that was going. Let's finish up with the college baseball. As we talked about, Coastal Carolina took it to Auburn, swept them.
Great game.
They were good games. I was surprised when I tuned in on that second game. I was totally 100% expecting that to go 3 games. It didn't. LSU sweeps West Virginia 16-9 and 12-5. That was the biggest, to me, kind of blowout that I was expecting. I was expecting LSU, so I'd hang my hat on that. But they're going to have to face Arkansas in their matchup, and that is going to be some games for the ages to me. How about Arizona coming back and beating North Carolina? You remember the first game; it was just a total, it was a blowout, and they come back and won 10-8. And then that last game was a real good game; it was 4-3. I watched that one as well. Oregon State unfortunately beats FSU 5-4 and 14-10. I was surprised about that one. I thought the bats would come alive for Florida State when we were watching it. I was like, they're about to, it kind of got to the 7th inning and 8th inning, and I was thinking, man, here we go. Arkansas sweeps Tennessee. That was a shocker, too.
Yeah, 4-3 sweep, Yeah,
and 11-4. Tennessee just didn't seem like after that first loss that they had what it took going forward. I don't know. It just was a weird feeling. UCLA sweeps UTSA, the unsung hero.
Yeah.
The team that I thought was going to make some noise in Omaha just is not going to make it. They lost 5-2 and 7-0. And then Louisville beats Miami 8-1 and then 3-2. And real quick before we have to go, the SEC, I'm a huge SEC fan, but man, it seems like the SEC really hurt over this period of college baseball. It was
bit
just
off more
really
than they could
tough.
chew.
I mean, we had the most in there. We were banging our chest. We were talking about it. Everybody was talking about it, but it just didn't work out too well. We had a really, 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 really tough. Now, they've got Arkansas and LSU on the same side, but it's not looking good. I think Arkansas is probably going to win it. LSU, if they get by Arkansas, I think they have the possibility, a chance to win it. But to me, I'm not picking anybody because I don't want anybody to say I listened to Paul on that show on Monday.
Yeah.
But if I were to say anybody was going to win it, I'd say it was going to be, because I'm an SEC homer, and I would say LSU or Arkansas.
I think where I'm at right now in this, Murray State and Duke are not in the conversation yet because they still got one more to play, the final one to figure it out. For rooting purposes, Coastal Carolina to this point, unless Murray State gets in, then I'm going to be rooting for them. But I'll also have to say that Arkansas has been my favorite in this point. LSU's up there with them, but also can't sleep on Arizona.
Yeah, I think that's a great time. Again, thank you for listening today. You've been listening to The Inside Drive. My name's Paul Wilson. Thanks for listening in at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll see you on Friday.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.